to the foe. Easy motherfucking E with the chrome to your dome. Cruising in my 6'4" rag top. I got a lot of juice, a lot of fucking block. Now when I hit that switch, I'm bouncing. More bounce to the ounce and I'm clowning. Keep the gat in my lap, cause I'm fully strapped for the carjackers. But no haps, cause I pack a Tech 9 plus a AK-47. Send a one-way ticket to my hell or maybe heaven. Peep, nigga, I don't sleep.
Oh, shit. It's that time of week again. It's another episode of the Modern Maverick podcast coming to you live from my kitchen. This makes number 7. I am your host, the Modern Maverick himself, Stephane Paulin. And to my left and to your right, my co-host extraordinaire, J. Flynn, a.k.a. the Manic Mouth. How you been?
I've been good.
It's been a while.
It has, yeah. It's been a couple of weeks.
You've been on vacation, enjoying life?
Yeah, I was. Now it's back to work, back to the grind.
Back to reality.
Not enjoying life quite as much.
Fuck no, man. Yeah, I've been there. I was on vacation for like half a month and I came back to work and chaos ensued and it was very rough.
Let's go. We got a long weekend, though. Good timing for me. Come back and I got a 3-day weekend coming up.
So you had a good vacation, though. I think you had some great weather and everything.
I had awesome weather the last couple of days. I had a bit of rain, but by then I was pretty tired, and I figured, you know what? I'm just going to stay home, play some video games. I've woken up at 6:30 in the morning to play golf way too many times.
Did you break your best?
No. My second week was worse than my first week.
Damn.
Golf makes no fucking sense.
It doesn't. The more you play, the more you get in your head, and the more you fucking.
Yeah.
It's that.
I swear to God, the best game I've played all year was showing up at the golf course at 5:30, teeing off at 5:33, no warm up, no nothing, no practice. And that was my best game, and we rushed it in 3 hours. So
I think the less you think about it,
exactly.
It's like, let's get this out of the way. It's like the podcast. The less you think about it, and the more it flows, and the more entertaining it is for people.
Exactly.
I did a podcast on my own last week. I put it up like halfway through the week. I think I was so busy last week. I had so much shit on my table. I recorded it fast for like, I think it was like 40 minutes. And then ended up rambling on. I don't even know about what. I really don't.
Can't remember.
I was like, fuck, what did I ramble on about? Basically, I think I just spoke about the podcast and how it's been doing and about other life shit. I really don't know.
So it was like a little life update.
Yeah. And I put it up, and I didn't even advertise it. I didn't even have time. My week at work was so crazy. I haven't had any time to do anything. So hopefully, with the long weekend, we can record a good podcast today and then put it up for our listeners. Great weekend so far. I thought we were going to have rain all weekend and thunder showers. No rain yesterday, and it looks great today. I'm about to head out to a family barbecue after this. It's going to be awesome with my in-laws, good food, probably some good drinks. I don't have to get up early.
You're a good guy.
Tomorrow.
To put the words awesome and in-laws in the same sentence.
I love my in-laws. They're awesome.
Oh, you got a good family.
I got introduced to a European culture for the first time in my life, and ever since then, it's been like, amazing for me. I don't know. I love my in-laws. They're awesome.
Your girlfriend's Portuguese, right?
Portuguese. Yeah.
Good
so
food,
every time there's a barbecue, it's like a lot of people and a lot of great food and a lot of drinking. I don't see the negative effects of that.
That's an awesome combination. And they know how to cook a chicken.
Oh shit, man.
Portuguese chicken.
My mother-in-law makes the best ribs though. But she makes not like the rack of ribs. She makes the individual ribs. She cuts them individually, rib by rib, and then she marinates the shit out of it, and then she makes. They're amazing. They're really amazing. And every time she makes them, I have way too much of that dark, delicious meat. That didn't sound right. Wow. Dark, delicious meat.
Wow, that sounds all right to me.
So
anyway, any meaning of the term?
Any. So like I said, I did a podcast by myself last week, and I actually forgot to talk about one of our new segment that I was going to add to my podcast. I didn't talk about it, and maybe we can talk about it later. And I decided to call it the Maverick Showdown.
The Showdown.
So where I would ask our listeners / followers on everywhere, Twitter, Facebook, and everything, I would ask them who's the best between this and this or that and that. Things, people, groups, And the first week I kind of did like I remember we spoke about The Godfather, which one was the best at first. And I got a few comments, and I posted the following week. I was going to talk about it last week, but I totally forgot because I was on my own and realized I'd been rambling on for way too long. The Maverick Showdown number 2 was Tupac versus Biggie. That was my Maverick Showdown. And I didn't get many comments. I got some, it was about 50-50. And a lot of people, and it is also my opinion that they are not really, if you really break them down as entertainers, as they're not really the same.
No, kind of.
Tupac is more of a storyteller, poet, and most of his songs are more, they have a meaning. And Biggie is more of he's also a storyteller, but he's more of his, I guess, life stories, or he can, I don't know, lyrically he's better.
Yeah,
he puts it down
as a
better.
Lyricist. Yeah, I would give the edge to Biggie.
Yeah.
And I mean, are we talking about are we going over the whole discography and the music itself, or just as an individual rapper?
I think my idea was that I grew up, I'm still a fan of 90s rap, and Tupac was my first big, oh my God, this is my favorite guy of all time. And then it was the war versus Tupac versus Biggie. And I even though I was a huge Tupac fan, I still loved Biggie, his songs, the beats. I think beat-wise, like lyric-wise, Biggie dropped it like, nobody, I've never heard anybody like him ever since. Tupac was more of a, I guess, a political genre where he's, sacrifices and struggles through life, with his mom being a Black Panther. And it really talked about the Black struggle and about the people itself. And Biggie was more about the street, more about his story, more about the way he was brought up as about a drug dealer and how he grew up trying to raise his family and try to support his, I think it was he had a little girl very young and stuff like that. So fan of both, but I'm always at heart a Tupac diehard fan. I think if I had to pick between two to be brought back to life, I'd pick Tupac before Biggie. I think if that was down to it, music wise, but I think Tupac had more of a message and it was more inspirational to the people, and Biggie was just more of a slick lyrical MC. He just put it down, and his music was just
had some badass beats.
The beats were He also had people to back him up. I think a little bit more in the business that directed him in the right in the right direction compared to Tupac, where he might have bounced from. He was more a lone wolf on his own, and he was under death row for a while, but it was more like he could do what the fuck he wants, and he didn't really give a fuck.
I'm sure there was probably a period there where he kind of got manipulated a bit by Suge Knight when he signed over when he came out of jail, right?
Yeah, so.
But yeah, for the most part, he was able to do his own thing on his own terms.
I know my buddy Nick on Facebook, he made a huge comment about it, and he said, basically broke it down, saying that it's basically comparing apples and oranges when you're comparing Tupac and Biggie. And in a sense, he's true. He's right. He's totally right about it. It's like one is a certain type and the other one. But when it comes down to it, basically what I wanted to know is, people that grew up my age category with rap music in the 90s, who was the best and who you enjoyed the most, basically. And I think that is going to be the consensus of my future Maverick showdowns as I keep them going. If I pick anything, if it's a music group versus another music group, and might not be the same genre, but it might be the same era. It might be like who's best? Is it Guns N' Roses or is it Metallica? And maybe they're not as similar, but they were in the same era. They were at their peak, probably around the same time
at the time,
late 80s, early 90s, stuff like that. So that's a preview of what's coming up with the Maverick showdown. So Tupac, Biggie, I say Tupac, just for the fact that that's who made me fall in love with that whole 90s rap / R&B / great music. And then Biggie, then other people, Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah, Wu-Tang was probably the first rap group. Well, Wu-Tang and the Beastie Boys, I guess, would be the first groups that got me into hip-hop at that age in the early, 90s, 92, 93. But as an individual rapper, yeah, between the two, I mean, other people would probably throw out Jay-Z and Nas in the conversation too, right?
Of
but
course.
I mean, when it comes down to, I think you pick two good names, and especially the example if you could bring one of them back to life, not
Which
a
one would
hologram,
you
bringing them
choose?
back to
Yeah,
life,
for
or
real.
next hologram, why not? But yeah,
would
no,
you choose?
I would pick Biggie. I would go with Biggie between the two. So yeah.
See?
Between the two, I mean, neither were necessarily my favorite either. But I mean, I listened to a lot
I think there was
of Tupac, a lot of Biggie as a kid.
back in the day.
But
There was
that's
a
it.
lot
I mean,
about group
Wu-Tang
rap.
was always my favorite. Just the dynamic of having 8 guys and just rapping,
Wu-Tang is
spitting out
the
amazing
only
stories. And just having
90s
those
group
old
that I
beats.
still listen to.
Yeah.
And I was listening to their Forever album just this Friday, and I even
Actually,
commented on Twitter about it.
I was listening to it on the car on the way
Were
over.
you?
Yeah.
And I was like, I forgot how fucking amazing that album was. It was a double LP. They had, and when I remember buying the CD, it was a double CD,
Yep.
and I was like, man, every track on the CD is track one, CD one, CD two, every track is like, like it's like.
I think if that was a single CD album, it would probably be considered one of the greatest hip hop albums
It's
of all
crazy.
time. But the fact that it's kind of
Consider it-
diluted a
yeah.
bit, I think, kind of.
There's a few songs that kind of like break up the tempo of the CDs. Like they'll have like great song 2 and 3 in a row, and then all of a sudden they'll have like something that breaks it up a little bit, and then starts it up again, and then they have a second CD. I mean, they've on my iPod, on my iPhone, I don't have many albums, but I think 3 or 4 of them are Wu-Tang. I have 36 Chambers, and then I have RZA, and I have a bunch of them, and they're all separate, you know, like RZA did his own thing.
Oh
but,
yeah, I mean,
it's-
Liquid Swords is one of the better albums.
That's
come
what
out of
I
the
have,
group. I mean, Ghostface and Raekwon's first albums are
I have
amazing
Cuban
too.
Links Part 2 on my my iPhone, which is a few good songs. Part 1 is considered one of the greatest albums
it's
of the night.
incredible from start to finish. It's an amazing album. Method Man too. You can't forget to Cal.
No, man.
Amazing.
Method Man was probably my favorite of all the. Every time he's on a track, or majority of the track, it's probably like on 36 Chambers. He's on it a lot, and he's got even a song called Method Man, and that's probably one of my favorite tracks on that album.
Yeah, I always loved Inspector Deck on the first album.
Yeah?
36 Chambers, especially on Cream, which is basically all him, just telling his story. You know, talking about Biggie, swindling and selling drugs and whatnot in street corners, and kind of telling a story. He did that on Cream. Amazing song, maybe one of the best hip hop songs ever. But he was one of the guys who unfortunately didn't really break out individually.
No,
with the solo albums didn't really draw the same attention that the other guys.
I think
did.
they all did solo albums, but you can only count maybe 4. You know, you got Raekwon, you got Method Man, RZA. I think GZA also did some solo albums that kind of broke away from.
Yeah.
But they all sort of represented Wu-Tang every time they had a solo album.
Yeah,
which I
and
think
there was
amazing.
always, and you always.
And there was Old Dirty Bastard, which we can't forget. I mean, Old Dirty Bastard had his album, which was
The hell's his first album called?
something 36 Chambers. It was related to.
I'm gonna have to look it up, man, because I don't remember the name of the title.
And that album was tight. I think Old Dirty Bastard. Sometimes I listen to some of his. He was the purest. I mean, obviously raw as they come when it comes to Wu-Tang. He was raw as
Unique.
fuck. But if you really listen to the lyrics he spits out on any tracks he's on, it's amazing. He's probably one of those guys that never wrote anything down. He just he came, he stood in front of the mic, and he just like had everything in his head, you know? I think it's the same. I heard a rumor that Jay-Z does the same thing. He never writes anything down, ever.
Really?
He just he rehearses a song, and then he goes on to in front of the mic and he spits it, and that's it.
You were right about ODB though. Return to the 36 Chambers,
to the
the
36.
dirty version.
I think the 36 Chambers represents where they're from, like the Bronx / Queens.
I always thought it was
the
just
New
some
York,
samurai karate kung fu flick thing.
I think it's also a reason why I love them so much is how either before a track or at the end of a track or between a track, the interlude or anything, it's always like old martial arts.
Yes, I love the "Are you my judge?"
Yeah.
I will.
I will cut your arms
chop
off.
off your arm. Yeah.
And the music kicks in, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh shit!
I'm going to chop
the
off your
beat
arm.
drops, and you're awesome. It's awesome. You know what I mean?
I love those. Yeah, the second one on Wu-Tang Forever, it's a little too much of the gang banging clips in between, though. You know, like getting pulled over by the cops and shooting.
Yeah.
It's like, I hate when they.
That
On a lot of albums, they throw that, like, make it an individual track so I can skip over it. Because, you know, when they stick it at the beginning of the song and then you got to forward for 45 seconds because you just want to get
Wu-Tang
that next freaking
is known
beat.
for that, though. You're
Yeah.
like a minute in, you're like, oh shit. Biggie too, though. I was listening to his Ready to Die, and a lot of his songs, like Kick in the Door, it's like you gotta skip to like a minute in. There's like an intro, and then there's also Going Back to Cali, which is another of my favorite songs. And it's like a minute in, you know, it's like, cut that shit out, you know, either separate it on the track so you can skip it or delete it when you're downloading. So you don't have to, like, if you hit him random, you're not like, oh shit, now I have to like pick up my phone for it. I don't want to hear that stuff.
I know.
You know.
Back in the day, they used to like re-release the album, and every once in a while you'd see that. Like all of a sudden, there's 24 tracks on the album, but it's because they would actually.
Oh, they would.
Dude, I've seen that on a couple of albums, but it's funny. Imagine they did that on like. Country music albums or like heavy metal albums. They had little like interludes in between. Like,
would give
hey,
shout-outs.
Jim, yeah, you know, like, hey, all the folks down at the barn.
How's your horse going?
Yeah, you know, like a 30-second conversation about horse feeding, you know.
Or bull riding or shit like
that's
that.
it. And it cuts to the track.
Did you fucking catch the VMAs and all this Miley Cyrus bullshit?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm
What the
naming my
fuck?
fantasy football team after her because we played dirty, man. We're going to twerk it all the way to the end zone. Oh, man, ridiculous. I didn't watch the VMAs.
They weren't even on. I don't
They're
think.
ridiculous
I don't even have
now.
MTVs.
I mean, if you like rock music, I mean, forget it. There's no place for rock anymore at the VMAs. Apparently,
it's all about pop.
It's all pop and hip hop and collaborations and stuff, and it's mostly pop though. It's aimed at the teenagers, the kids. But I mean, that's what the VMAs are for,
Damn,
right?
though.
But the VMAs used to be good.
They used to be good, man. Remember when was it at the VMAs that Rage Against the Machine did like a protest?
Well, the drummer, was it the drummer? I think it was their drummer, started climbing the scaffolding.
Yeah, that's it.
And he got kicked out.
Protest or something.
Yeah, well, they've always done that. Maybe you're thinking of SNL when they performed Saturday Night Live and they turned the American flag upside down.
Oh, shit,
And
I
as they were
know.
performing, somebody ran out to take it off.
Are you serious?
And they were basically kicked off the show. And they, I think, are the only band who was kicked out before being able to play their second track.
Oh, they didn't play
never-
their second round. Shit, I didn't know that. I
That's
didn't
an
know
interesting
that.
story.
I always find that SNL has the most sometimes awkward bands that play. Like the most like. Yeah, they're popular. Like a lot of times I'll watch SNLs and I'll be like, who's that band? I've never heard of that band before.
Yeah.
But then after they play on SNL, you hear them
get
everywhere.
big, yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
There's
Like,
been a lot of that lately, yeah. Whereas as opposed to getting somebody who's really big already, they're getting these up and comers.
Yeah,
like I
like-
remember Lana Del Rey, I think, was on SNL before her album was even released. I
Yeah.
think. And,
It was a big farce,
And she
too.
was horrible though. But yeah, to go back to horribleness and Miley Cyrus,
Oh my God.
grinding her 20-year-old ass up on
Rob-
Beetlejuice / Robin Thicke.
What's up with him, man?
I don't know. I only caught on to this guy about a couple months ago, I guess, when this Blurred Lines song. I had no idea. I was like, that's Alan Thicke's son for
Number
real?
one, I heard about him years ago when he started spitting out albums. And one thing I noticed is that I would always go on Billboard.com sometimes to see what's hot and to download albums and stuff. And I would always go in the R&B rap section. And he was always there. It was always, every time he'd put out an album, he was always top 3. I was like, who's this guy? And my assumption was he was black because it's R&B rap. I'm like, who the fuck? I never really paid attention to it because I never heard of any of his songs. So I wouldn't. And then a few times after, like, I keep going and it's like, this guy's always there. Let's check him out. It's a fucking white dude. Number one, I didn't associate him to being Alan Thicke's son. And then I listened to a few of his songs. I was like, oh, it's more like R&B, more slow, more like nothing I'm interested in. And then just lately, when Blurred Line came out, and my girlfriend, and I heard it on the radio, and the song was catchy, I'll be honest. And then my girlfriend's like, dude, you see the video clip about it, like, but the real video clip. I'm like, no, it's like, she got to watch it when we're on vacation back. She's like, here, watch it. And then these fucking topless chicks in the video. I fell in love with the video. I fell in love. I kept watching it. I'm like, these chicks are hot as fuck. Damn. Do you know that the main girl, the hottest one, like I think it was the brunette guy, not the black chick, but the one that's mostly in the video. Mm-hmm. She's only like 21 years old or 22.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's fucking beautiful. Even my girlfriend was like, that chick is beautiful. And I'm like, which one? She's like, that one. I'm like, yeah, she's pretty hot. And I got addicted to that video for like a week. I was like, kept playing it I was like, damn, it's a good, and that song got catchy. But then I watched him on VMAs wearing that suit and then having Miley Cyrus. I'll be honest, I was kind of a fan of her new look and stuff, Miley Cyrus. Mm-hmm. I don't listen to any of her music, but you know, I like the hair. I like the, you know, breaking out from her father's shadow and like doing her own thing and being a bit provocative. I kind of like that. But then she put her ass on TV, and it wasn't even really an ass. It was
she's got no ass. I mean,
that was the big
shape.
joke. I saw a lot of memes on the internet about her not squatting and not doing any squats, and like, the fuck, you're in show business.
You can't twerk if you don't have an ass.
What? Yes, please.
And on a side note, I just learned the term twerk, I think, the day before the VMAs. I had no idea. My brother was talking about it. I said, what the fuck is twerking? I thought it was just called like booty shaking or something.
Yeah,
but
that's something black chicks do, and I get it.
I've seen some women do it very, very well.
Of course. But, and the video that she did it, I think she did it at a rap concert of a certain somebody. I don't remember who it was. She got on stage and she twerked, and that was the big thing. And I remember Jay-Z making fun of her on one of his new tracks on his new album.
Really?
Yeah, he made fun of her. He mentioned it. And then she comes on the MTV and the VMAs and basically wearing skin-colored latex shit.
Yeah.
Oh, it was weird.
It wasn't
she had
sexy.
This rubber
she
finger.
didn't.
Oh
and then with the foam finger fondling herself, and it was just really awkward. It was just really awkward. There was no style to it. There was nothing artistic to it. It was a mess.
It's kind of sad that the younger generation is either attracted to that or people relate to that.
Yeah, that's the worst part.
I'm trying to think about when I was young, like I said, like when music-wise, music had a big part of my life as I grew up. Mm-hmm. You know, movies and music. I loved watching movies and I loved listening to music. And at a very young age, I became, you know, like I said, Tupac, Biggie, and 90s rap. I was very inspired by their music, and that's what I grew up with. For a while, I listened to Nirvana. Nirvana 2 was good. Metallica, every genre of music, but I don't remember anybody or anything like this back when I was young. Like, it was like, number one, probably social media didn't exist.
No,
that's big difference.
Absolutely.
So and you didn't have Did the VMAs exist back 20 years ago?
They did, and they were amazing. Back. I remember my favorite MTV award was back in 1993. I think it was when Pearl Jam had just came out with Versus. They performed with Neil Young, did Rockin' in the Free World.
Yeah.
Nirvana was there. They had performed, I think it was in Bloom. They did a crazy, crazy set.
That's true.
It was rock. There was hip hop. There was a bit of everything. And a couple of years afterwards, it was still all right. But then you could kind of saw it veer towards more hip hop and then pop. And then it really went for the teeny boppers. But yeah, the MTV Awards used to be really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, think back, Guns N' Roses back in 1989 performing Welcome to the Jungle. I mean, that was legendary stuff, and now it's just a joke. And I mean, 20 years ago, if anybody like Miley had the equivalent of a Miley Cyrus moment, the only way it would be passed around in school would be if somebody brought their video cassette because they happened to record it, right?
That's fucked up.
I mean, there's
nobody
the
had any
without
VCR.
That social...
Yeah, exactly. Nobody ran around with a VCR in their pocket.
No,
said, look, plug this into this TV.
Exactly.
Now you got your phone. You're like, check this out. Fuck, on Twitter, on YouTube, everywhere. It's everywhere.
So
you didn't have that, and it didn't spread as much.
No. So and that makes it a bigger deal than it actually is. But I go back to think, what provocative artist was there? I mean, other than the obvious in Madonna, but then again, we can go and say, well, there was something artistic, there was a value, there was a message to some of her songs, whereas Miley Cyrus not really.
Do you think it was considered more artistic because social media wasn't around and because it wasn't spread as it took a longer time to get to the audience and get to the people.
I think you're right, because it's so easy for somebody to criticize and judge. Yeah,
because if it's on TV, it's online 30 seconds later. Not even, it's instant.
Yep.
But back in the day, if Madonna did something provocative, you didn't hear about it till next day, either if it was on TV or in the newspaper.
And it's almost like people have time to digest it before they kind of talk about it. Whereas here, it's the initial shock value. And I mean, I wonder how many seconds into that performance was somebody already tweeting about it.
Exactly.
That's just literally the world we live in now. And it is kind of insane.
Yeah.
It's just you think... Or you speak without thinking so much. It's in your face and boom, okay, I'm gonna talk about it, and then everybody's up in arms.
If I had to think about a single moment in time where everything changed, where it became from what, like we said, like Madonna, I think it would have been probably the oldest moment I can think was Janet Jackson at the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
she showed her titty.
Yeah.
Where how big that became, because Justin Timberlake at that time was huge, and it was just so dramatic. And I think that was the beginning of social media. When did that happen? Like mid 2000s?
Yeah, I guess that's what, 6-7 years ago maybe now. I don't even. Yeah, it seems like it hasn't been that long. But
I don't even know if Facebook was up, but I think the internet was big enough.
Facebook and all that stuff. Yeah, you forget now. Facebook's been around for almost a decade now already. It's I
remember
on,
logging on 2006. I created a profile on Facebook. It's retarded now if you think about how life revolves around either social media or about Facebook or Twitter and stuff like that. Compared to, I remember when I was in college back in 2000, getting a laptop from my college because it was included in our course, and I remember downloading music at my house. And it took forever. And I remember trying to figure out how to download music without paying for it.
Yeah.
We all did that. Napster back then. Remember Napster?
Oh, yeah. Even before that was Kaza or Sheraza and all those sites. I had a buddy who in CJEP, I didn't even have a computer yet. I was like 19. This is what, in like 1999, 2000. And he would charge like $7 to burn CDs because he had figured out how to do this and burn and download songs. Wow. So I was like, oh, yeah. And you'd ask for all these mixtapes. Yeah,
because back
CDs,
then, most computers didn't have CD burners. You had to buy them like separately.
Yeah, and they were like $200-something just for the CD burner. And
they were all
just
external.
A computer. My first computer was a piece of junk. It was like $1,200. I had it built at some store, and it was
really?
It was garbage.
My first computer was given to me in college, so at the end of my year, I had to give it back. And then I must have lived for a few years before I had my own computer. And then I remember buying my first laptop, and it was 2003, 2004, and man, it was ancient. I kept that thing till I moved to Montreal, and it just one day I just booted up and it didn't boot up anymore. It just died. I lost everything. Then I bought another laptop, and then I moved to Mac, and ever since I moved to Mac, everything's been beautiful.
Once you go to Mac, you don't go back.
No, fuck that. Fuck that shit, man.
Sponsors.
You imagine Mac?
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. I definitely will never go back to Windows. Mac has definitely made a big impact on my life. I realized how much of a difference, just for the fact that the freezing aspect of, I remember having Windows and how much it froze on me all the time. How many times you had to reboot that
fucking little loading hourglass.
All the malware,
just looking at it,
all the malware I had when I was that you get from certain websites that we won't mention.
Pop-ups galore. Yeah, from that. What websites are you talking about?
I must have gone on a certain website that shouldn't have gone, man. Yeah, you know what I mean.
But yeah, we live in a dirty world with dirty girls and dirty people dancing dirty moves.
It just makes me sad because
and
a lot of
everyone's
people
talking about it because we have nothing else to do.
For a week of my life, all I had to hear about was how Miley Cyrus had her ass on TV. Yeah. That makes me a bit sad because that was in the news. Yeah. When there was other things in the news that should have been a bit more, like chemical warfare in Syria, which is, if you think about it, fucking huge, but people kind of dilute it with other things, and the media kind of like, I think we spoke about it in the last time we got together for a podcast where how CNN was so big when that Dr. Gupta talked about weed and how CNN allowed it, and how big media sorry,
something's falling.
My AC just went AWire here. How big media outlets such as CNN and so forth, they decide what goes out. They you know what I mean? And most people rely on them. So if it's not on CNN, then they don't hear about it. Because let's face it, a lot of people don't spend their time on the internet like I do, like you do, like a lot of people do. When I'm on the internet, people, you know, I remember it was an ongoing joke in our household, me and my girlfriend. She's like, "You're always on the internet. What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, I'm fucking, you know, at first I was like, you know, I'm just fooling around and stuff, you know, social media and stuff. But now when I'm on the internet, I'm always searching for either news that is not being broadcast on the mainstream media, stuff that people wouldn't know about, wouldn't talk about. You would be, if you took a day and you sat down in front of your computer and you did your own research, and you started doing research on what's going on in the world and what's not being told in the mainstream media, you'd be shocked. You'd be fucking shocked. And it's up to the mainstream media to choose what they put on. And I see it every day. There's so much stuff that people just don't know about, but that is happening in the world. But the media is either not in there, they're not there, nobody's there, there's no reporters, nobody can report that news, and it's very sad. And in a world where we live, where Twitter, where everybody has a cell phone, where everybody can take pictures and videos of shit going on, it's very, very sad. And it's a perfect example is the thing that's going on in Fukushima right now. I don't know if you've seen that, but the radiation
that's leaking
in the ocean
3 years later or
is
whatever
retarded.
Is
retarded.
Yeah, I know, but you bring up an example. It's funny. I was having this conversation the other day because, you know, on Facebook, you know, I call them Facebook activists, where we share pictures, we share memes, we get political because somebody posted something and I'm going to share it, and now I'm standing on my pedestal judging you.
True.
Okay, so what did
because
you do
you
exactly?
Shared it?
So you reposted something about Fukushima, and then you, in the same meme, like you bring up the Miley Cyrus coverage and how much attention that's gotten. Well, you know what? CNN's got the 3 stories on their main page. They've got the Miley Cyrus, they got Syria, and they've got Fukushima. That's the top 3.
Of course.
CNN, all week it's been the top 3, right? So people choose what to read. CNN's not withholding any of that information, any of that news, right? But you know what? What am I going to do about a fucking nuclear reactor that's leaked into the ocean in Fukushima?
Nothing.
What am I going to do about it?
Yeah, are you going to go over there and try to help the people?
Am I going to go? Am I going to go scoop up the fucking toxic waste and radiation out of the ocean?
Nothing can be done.
Nothing as myself can do. So I can repost something on Facebook.
True.
And feel good about myself, or I can make fun of Miley Cyrus because you know what? I can laugh at that.
I can do that.
I can do that. That is something I can do.
That's true.
And you know what? Maybe I'll make a couple of friends laugh. And share something interesting, make a joke out of it. But you know what? That's really what it comes down to. Because sitting behind your computer, you're not going to do anything.
No,
it's not. So if you really care about Fukushima, if you really care about war in Syria, well, you know what? Sign up with the Red Cross or the UN or whatever the case may be, and make a difference. Otherwise, you're just sharing a fucking picture you saw on Facebook that somebody else shared, and that's the only reason.
I think you're sharing information about. You're trying to make people aware of what's going on in the world. And to be more aware about. Yeah, maybe life isn't that bad when you go to work, when somebody's getting bombed with whatever chemicals, and how many thousands of people died? It was retarded.
In Syria?
Yeah.
They're up to over, well, there was 1,300 or so they said were killed because of the chemical attack. That's the whole reason why the U.S. is probably going to go to war with them.
But who says it was chemical?
Well,
that's the U.S., right?
Well, that's kind of the story here.
It's the same thing for weapons of mass destruction. Did they ever find weapons of mass destruction?
No. Well, that's the criticism behind all of this right now. But overall, I think there's been over 100,000 deaths in Syria. I mean, at least that we know about.
But I'll be 100% honest. Until the last few weeks, I didn't even know. I don't really know anything about Syria.
No,
it's more of a civil war, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. It's
between the people.
Yeah, it's the rebels and the government and those that are kind of standing by. You know, this. I want to say totalitarian. What's the word? Totalitarian.
Totalitarian.
Totalitarian. Jeez, man. But a regime where it's basically you got a tyrant who's been running the country, and the people are standing up for themselves. And
is that what it is? Is it like a dictator that's been running
essentially? I mean, what it comes down to, I mean, it's not a real democracy, and people are finally standing up. Like they did in Egypt. And they're finally standing up for themselves. And enough is enough. It's a change of guard, and it's happening everywhere in the Muslim world right now. And I have some close friends that are very close to it and kind of in tune with what's going on. And whether it's in Jordan, whether is the king going to be overthrown by an actual democratic government now, and down with the monarchy, and now in with power of the people, and that's kind of what's happening. People are standing up for themselves, and it's reaching a point where, like you say, if the government's using chemical warfare to control the people, then a country like the U.S. is going to step in and interfere. But who says they really did? If it's the U.S., exactly. Who are they to decide?
We're not there.
I don't know. Right now, I think the whole thing is that the UN hasn't officially declare
that they used.
So,
but I'm always weary when I saw news this morning how the United States are confirming via tests that from hair samples and blood samples from the dead that there was indeed chemical warfare that happened. All of a sudden, but how did the United States get a hold of that so fast and were able to put it out so fast? It makes you think like the I wouldn't say what's the word I'm looking for? I'm drawing a blank right now. The conspiracy theorist in me is thinking, why would the United States be the first to declare it? And they're almost on the brinks of going to war. And why would they want to go to war with Syria? Why can't they just leave it alone? Is there something there that they need? Is it an oil? Is it oil like it was in Iraq?
The conspiracy theorists will always look that way
shit.
First, right?
But the realist in me goes, well, maybe there is really something going on. And who are the United States, aka the biggest army in the world, the strongest, to not do anything about it? But is the United States going to go to war with everybody that does wrong in the world? Like,
well, if they did, they'd be
busy as fuck. Because
really fuck, man. Busy, man.
And when is it going to? After a while, year after year, when you're doing that, how much of that is going to your head, and then you're not thinking clearly, and then you start attacking countries that aren't really doing anything crazy like us, which are north of the border. And sometimes, we don't always agree 100%. I think our government doesn't always agree 100%, but we always seem to follow suit or vice versa because we're so close together.
Yeah.
I think we're separated by a border. And how quick shit can do.
Well, we're their little brother to the north, right? So, yeah.
But I think if we were to be so against them, we couldn't really be, because we'd be fucked, really. They'd be like, we couldn't really oppose the United States that much because we'd get bombarded pretty quickly and we'd be fucked because our army is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think. But I don't think war is the answer on everything, but
no.
I think you do have to stop these regimes in the world. And as we go on with like I said, like social media and everything being so quick, and I think that's why the people are standing up, because they know that they have a voice now, and they know that people around the world can hear them by just tweeting or sending a video on YouTube, and it's like, oh, now we know what's going on in that country, and no, it doesn't come from CNN, it doesn't come from a media, it comes from a real person that's really showing really what's going on.
It's crazy to think though about how much censorship there is out in the Middle East, especially though. But sometimes you can't get the real news because it is getting censored. I mean, I've seen from examples from friends reposting stuff. There was some controversy in the Middle East and Saudi Arabia and whatnot during Ramadan, and they completely censored all the posts on Facebook were deleted mysteriously. Anything.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And my friend said, what do you mean? Because she had posted some stuff, and she was asking her friends out in the Middle East if they had seen her post, and they said, I don't see your post. And it turns out, well, their Facebook over there was censored. And
I heard about that, yeah.
So it's
not only Facebook, I think Google and all the
Google,
search.
YouTube, everything, yeah, absolutely. They'll restrict. So sometimes you can't really get the news either. I mean, unless somebody's sending it to you directly from their phone from a video that they shot, sometimes it's really hard to come across the actual truth. It's scary to think this the world we still live in, eh?
And you can only imagine where in 10 years we're going to be, because the growth of everything is expansionally just getting faster and faster.
I mean, Big Brother is watching, and Big Brother's uncle is watching, and Big Brother's sister's watching too now. At this point, it's insane. I mean, John McAfee, you've heard of this crazy maniac who the McAfee antivirus, and he's been accused of murdering his neighbor in South America, was on the run, blah blah blah. Well, he was chilling out in Montreal this week, sipping a beer.
Are you serious?
He was sipping a beer on a terrace, and that was CTV or one of the news, local news outlets had an interview with him, and he was talking about how the government's spying on us and whatnot, and if, as Canadians, we think we're any less subject to it, then we're kidding ourselves, because essentially the Canadian government's not any nicer, let's say, than the American government in that sense. They don't, they don't care so much about our privacy. They want to know what's going on. So just to think that, no, in Canada we're not safe either. I thought it was hilarious that this accused murderer is just like chilling out in Montreal, sitting on terrace. Yeah, let's talk about.
But he's allowed in the States, is he?
Is he allowed back in the States? I don't know where he's allowed anymore, but it's just a crazy story. These crazy millionaires, a millionaire, billionaire, I don't know how much money he has.
He went cuckoo though.
He went really cuckoo, yeah.
There was a thing, I think, on Vice about him, Vice.com.
Yeah.
He had like a fucking guns and weapons and shit.
Yes.
Are you shitting me, dude?
Yeah.
You're a billionaire. Imagine if Bill Gates just lost his head right then and then moved abroad and then started
thought he was super paranoid. Everyone's out to get me.
Raping bitches and shit like that, and just started, starting posting YouTube on, without a shirt and shit, just being all a gangster.
Growing a big shaggy beard.
With guns in the background and tattoos and everywhere.
Yeah, he's tattooed his entire chest. He's got a Bible verse.
Fuck
across.
Apple on his chest. Like that. Fuck Macintosh, or fuck Jobs or whatever the fuck the case may be. But would people be that surprised if some shit like that happened? Like, I mean, people that have all the money, they seem to be, a lot of them just seem to be like, oh shit, I can do whatever I want. I'm either I'm there. People seem to be the fucking word I'm looking for. They're protected by either the money that they have and that they give to people. Government /
for sure
people. So I think a guy like McIntosh, but not McIntosh, McAfee, he's a bit more cuckoo, I think.
Well, money lets you get away with a lot of things. That's essentially it. Money covers your ass. So.
But what is money nowadays? It's kind of up in the air, because back in the day, money, $1 was worth gold. Basically, it's always been built off. But is it really worth that anymore? Like, is money just a number thing? It's all digital. We live in a digital era where money is all numbers. It's all zeros and ones. I think paper money. Do we have enough paper money in the world to cover everybody that has money in their bank account?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah, I was reading an interesting article about Zimbabwe, and the value of their dollar had become so low and so ridiculous that they call it there's inflation and then there's hyperinflation. And basically the value of the dollar had been so low that they had to print money, and it got to the point where they had to print $1 trillion bill. $1 trillion bill, which essentially was $5.
Oh,
so
shit.
people were literally walking around with giant bags of money to go do their groceries, which essentially came out to like $10 worth. The bags of money was bigger than the groceries they were coming home with. It got to the point where it was so absurd that they just eliminated the local currency, and now they just operate with American dollars and the South American dollar. I forget what it's called. But just this, is it the krone? It might be. But just to say, what's the value of money, right? At a certain point, you can print it out and you can make $1 trillion bill.
But I think that's what's going on in the States too, around the world. I think what's behind our money. You can print out money. If I had a machine right now in my house, I can print out money, but I don't have anything to back up that money. I don't have any gold hidden anywhere that I do have. I'm going to print $1 million today, and that means I have $1 million in gold.
Yeah.
Back in the day, that's what it meant.
Yeah.
If there was $1 million on the street, it means the federal banks had $1 million in gold.
Yeah.
There's there's no gold anymore. I don't think there is, or if there is, there's not enough for all the money in the world. All these bankers on Wall Street, the billions and billions of dollars they get. Bill Gates is worth billions and billions of dollars.
But even then, who decided gold was worth anything?
Exactly.
Man did. We could have decided, it's like diamonds come from coal, right? What if we just stopped and said, you know what? Fuck it. Coal's worth this much.
Yeah.
Coal's the expensive, valuable stuff.
If
People are going
coal
to wear
is
coal
gonna turn
necklaces.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we just decided that we like gold. It was pretty. Let's give it a value. So I think it comes down to what you're indebted to. And the power comes with, well, how much do you owe me? What do you owe me? Well,
now I control you.
Now I control you. Now
and
I manipulate
who controls everybody? It's the banks.
Yeah. So I think there's the bigger problem. It's the control that comes with what being indebted to somebody.
But it's just sad that, back in the day, when money didn't exist, it was basically you were worth what you own.
Yeah.
And I traded you this much for this. And if I didn't have anything, I'd go out and kill something, and then I traded you, or I'll trade you my cow that I have for this and that. And nowadays it's like, I have that much in my bank account, and then I go to the bank and I press a button and it gives me money, but then that money is like, where's the backup for that money? And when I have $1,000 in my bank account, I have $1,000. But when you have billions and billions in your bank account, you're like, can that guy really go to the bank and say, okay, I want to take out all my money today? Can Bill Gates go to the bank and go, yeah, I want to withdraw?
Probably not, eh? I wonder what they would say. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. We don't have $18 billion in cash lying around.
I want to buy 18 private jets today. Can I withdraw money? I need to pay
them all cash.
Yeah. So
how I roll.
Guy gives me a deal because I paid cash. That's not
10%.
how big. I hate when I hear the worth. I'm worth that much. Yeah, you're worth that much. But if your company tomorrow fucking bellied up, you'd be worth absolutely nothing. You know, if Macintosh tomorrow crashed, or if Windows crashed tomorrow and people just decided not to buy it anymore, your $1 billion worth would be worth nothing.
Yep.
And nobody wanted to buy you. You'd be worth nothing because nobody would want anything to do with you.
Yep.
So you'd be, all your zeros and ones in your bank account would become zeros.
Yeah, for sure. Tomorrow you find out that using an iPhone gives you cancer, brain cancer. Boom.
Instant cancer.
Boom. Bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Within a week, Apple is worth nothing. No. Nobody would be buying anything.
Exactly.
It was the whole deal, I think, when the gas was going up. Remember? Everybody was trying to get people to, on this day, boycott gas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But if you really think about it, if we went just one country for one single day, nobody bought gas, how much money for one day the gas companies or the petrol company would lose money?
Yeah, but it'll make up for it.
But then the next day they'd be like, oh yeah, shit, I didn't make gas. But people didn't think that way. They'd be like, yeah, but the next day
I still got to get to work tomorrow.
The fuck, bro. Yeah, I'm not going to ride my bike. I don't own a bike.
No,
I
that's it. And it's minus 30 outside. So yeah.
In the winter.
Car today.
Fuck that shit. It's ridiculous.
No, like I say, it's
it's
hard to make a difference these days. It's like the individual standing up, the 1%, the 99%, but still, you can protest until people who are actually in the government, the people with the power, until it's them that are the ones that really want to make the changes.
Nothing's going to
happen. So it's unfortunate, but I think that's really the reality. Obama was supposed to be the savior for the people, and pretty much turned out to be a politician like everybody else, right?
Everybody else. I watched talking about politician. I watched on Friday Lincoln. You ever see that movie?
I have not. No.
I was deeply impressed by the acting in the movie.
Yeah.
It's all about politics from end to from beginning to end. It's politics about this finishing slavery.
Yeah, abolishing.
Abolishing slavery. Is that one word? Is that the word?
Yeah.
Abolishing slavery and stuff. But Daniel Day-Lewis is a phenomenal actor.
Is he the greatest actor of our generation?
Probably. There's no denying that guy is in his role. And he does not get out of his role between takes. Yeah. He is Abe Lincoln between takes.
He's a method actor. He's the definition of
when they're not rolling, when they're not recording, he's still Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
When you're eating your sandwich, that guy is still Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
And
looking at people like they're crazy with their iPhones. What is this contraption you are using?
He is definitely, but everybody else in that movie too, I think, revolved around his acting.
Yeah.
Like
imagine if he made as many movies as Nicolas Cage or Sam Jackson.
Oh my God.
Because he makes a movie like every few years, pretty much.
Yeah, but he takes so
he's got
long
a huge
to,
role. Yeah, that's it. I wonder. I guess is it that he just picks these amazing roles, or does it take him like a year and a half to get into the mindset? That's what I think it does. Right?
Yeah, it takes him a while to get in, either get physically in that mindset and mentally into that mindset,
and probably to get out of that mindset after it's done too. He probably needs to just.
It takes him a year just to
turn back into himself, for the next year. Yeah.
But Nicolas Cage is definitely not in the same. There was Ghost Rider was on TV just before he got here.
Movie horrible.
The second one was even worse.
Yeah, I've only caught bits of the second one. I've never even watched all of the first one, just enough to know. I watched the end.
I watched the last 15 minutes.
Oh, it's so bad.
There's nothing else on TV. I'm like, I'm gonna see how bad this movie is. And I didn't really see Nicolas Cage. It was only like a burning face and burning skull from the Ghost Rider. And it was still horrible. And I was like, how are they keep making these fucking movies? Why do they keep making these fucking movies?
I don't know.
There's so many good actors out there. Nicolas Cage is definitely not one of them.
Well, he used to be great. I mean, there's a few movies, Leaving Las Vegas, he was amazing.
Yeah.
Face Adaptation, he was great. Well, Face Off. Yeah. I mean, that's when you saw that other side of him. But fun. Within those roles, he still made them worth watching. But then it just turned into just a joke. I mean, I know I think he owes the government or somebody a lot of money because he's just been making movies, something like that. There, him and Wesley Snipes there. But I don't know. But speaking of actors and bad roles and whatnot, superhero movies. What about Ben Affleck as Batman?
What the fuck?
What do you think about that?
I am not really I will not say I'm not impressed or not until I see him in a Batman costume.
But it's a head scratcher a bit. Like he's a big name.
So was Christian Bale though. You don't think? Yeah. I think Ben Affleck was a big name, and then he made shitty movies, and it kind of like, his name, and then he started directing movies. Yeah. He built up his name again, started acting again. But I just don't see how you could put Ben Affleck in that role. It's just
yes, Christian Bale's a big name too, but Christian Bale's never been criticized in the way that Ben Affleck has.
No, you're right.
Christian Bale, well, whereas he's not Daniel Day-Lewis, I mean, he's up there with formidable actors who can really know the trade. And he's had some amazing roles over the years, whether you think of American Psycho or whatever the case may be. And I mean, he's been acting since he was a kid. And let's not forget, he's not American, right? When's the last time you've seen him speak a role in his original accent where he's English or Scottish? But just to say that he is a great actor. But Christian Bale, that whole take on Batman was, I think he fit that universe. And like you say, we won't judge too much before we see. But considering on the opposite end, you've got Henry Cavill as Superman. And unless you've watched Mad Men, you have no idea who this guy was. And they made him Superman. So that's why him being opposite Ben Affleck, that's where I kind of scratch my head. Because you've got such a familiar face, a name, somebody who's been out there, who's been with freaking Jennifer Lopez, and he's been in the media and whatnot. It's just I think
it's more of the media attention.
Well, that's it. It's that media.
You'd rather give a role, especially if you're going to basically replace. But is it really replacing? Is what is going to happen to the Batman franchise after the Superman movie? That's the question.
I don't know if it's going to lead into another Batman, because we know that Christopher Nolan's Batman's universe, that one's done.
It's finished.
That story's finished.
So they're going to kick it off again?
So either this Spider-Man will kick off another, not Spider-Man, but Superman will kick off another Batman franchise. I have no idea. I don't know. I was never a big comic book guy, so I don't know the whole story behind the Superman and Batman.
I think there's a lot of storylines to be done.
But there's so many. There's been so many different writers over the years, and they've done graphic novel versions of a lot of famous comics. So you could take any story and anyway. I know the X-Men. I think there's a whole alternate universe to the X-Men 2 that came out not too long ago in the comics. True. So you could totally take that story and take it elsewhere too. That's what's fun about these things. I mean, it's all fiction, and you can really do whatever you want, and that's cool. That we can have a different Batman story every decade, but at a certain point,
but every decade, the thing I hate about it is that now I'm still young enough or old enough to remember, the other generation when they booted up Superman or when they booted up Batman. Like, how many times are going to boot up that genre? How many times are going to restart Spider-Man? Because
how many different Batmans are we going to see before we die?
Christ,
how many actors have played Batman since we're kids?
6 or 7 now.
I mean, Keaton, Kilmer, Clooney, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck. I mean, it's crazy.
My question is Ben Affleck just into that role, or is he gonna be?
No, I've heard it. I read an article that, or a rumor, anyway, that him signing on isn't just for this movie. It's for
the Batman
There's a plan
franchise.
for like an anthology of sorts.
There's only one person that could have replaced Christian Bale, and it would have been. It wouldn't have made sense really, but it would have been Gordon Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yeah.
He would have been a good fit for Batman, but he was in a Batman movie as Robin basically, and it would have been a bit weird because he was already
he was essentially supposed to be Robin is what they hinted at the end of the movie when you find out his real name.
It's Robin. So if they would have had a sequel to The Dark Knight Rises, then he would have been Robin.
But I had also read that within that universe, that they had based the movies on, there was somebody who kind of took over for Batman, and his character was kind of an amalgamation
that would have made sense
of those characters. So he could have been a temporary,
with Nolan
interim
not,
Batman kind of thing.
With Nolan not really continuing into that universe, it's done.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So now it's like, Ben Affleck is going to start over, and we're going to see him against the Joker. Are we going to see another Joker in our generation versus Batman? How are you going to follow up?
Are we going to see another Joker? That's an interesting question too.
Because we've seen two Jokers, Jack Nicholson basically,
and they've been great. Two very different Jokers, but two amazing Jokers.
And did they really die at the end of the movies? Both of them? I don't remember the first one. I know the second one, you can't really tell he's like. I know the actor.
The first
died.
one with Jack Nicholson?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If he didn't die in that one, he falls from the tower.
Oh yeah,
the clock tower.
Yeah, true.
And I don't know how many stories that was supposed to be.
But in the second, in the one with Heath Ledger,
it was kind of left a little bit.
He's just tied on the building.
Yes. He kind of leaves him strung up, and that's
then you don't see him again.
Exactly.
And then he dies in real life.
Yeah.
So it's like you're gonna grab somebody else, and who is gonna follow that role? Like that was a big ass. That was probably one of the better roles of our generation. Of bad guys. It was pretty badass.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I've been watching a lot of his movies lately, but I wonder if a guy like Ryan Gosling could have done something interesting with it. Or Ben Foster. I don't know if you remember. He kind of.
Ben Foster.
I'll show you a picture of him. You'll recognize him right away.
Ryan Gosling, his last role there, that badass role. What's the name of the movie? In the Pines or?
Oh yeah, did you watch that one?
No, I didn't see it.
Place Behind the Pines. Yeah. Pretty good movie.
Plays a badass.
Pretty good movie. Plays like a stunt motorcycle driver who ends up robbing banks to provide for his
He's
ex-girlfriend.
an amazing actor.
Really good. And another one I saw is Only God Forgives. Have you heard of this one?
Dude, I saw the preview. That shit looks.
It's the same dude who directed and wrote Drive. So you kind of got like
it is exactly the same vibe from the previews I got.
It's a different style movie a bit, but kind of similar in the sense that he's a very quiet character, doesn't have many lines in the movie. Yeah. It's all about his presence and his facial expressions, and it's got some pretty violent scenes. Yes. The story's kind of weird.
You saw it already?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's out in theaters or?
I don't know. I find everything on the internet, man.
Don't say that.
This Ben Foster.
Oh yes, him. Yeah,
he's a good actor too. Yeah. I'd like to see him in more roles.
Yeah,
but he's good. I don't know. He was really good in that Alpha Dog.
Yes,
with Justin Timberlake when he plays the kid's brother and he comes in, and he whoops some ass, takes off his shirt, and starts beating everybody up at the party, and you just see he's fucking psycho.
He is psycho.
This guy. He plays a good range. Guy. Yeah, he's got some good range, so he could be interesting.
Ben Foster. Remember that name?
Yeah.
So we got it. Now we're in.
Already.
Oh, I gotta go soon, so we'll finish this up with a bit of UFC talk, MMA talk.
Yeah.
Did you catch the fights last night?
I did. First time I watched from start to finish, man. I said, I'm staying home today. I'm gonna watch the Facebook prelims, everything.
I didn't watch the Facebook prelims. I caught a few of the prelims on Fox, and then I headed out. I went to a bar, met up with a few of the guys from my gym, and then we watched the fights. And the prelims were pretty badass.
Yeah, some good fights.
That first fight in the prelims, I can't name the guys. There was a Latino guy versus
Chico Camus.
Holy fuck! What
the local guy from Milwaukee. There, he got a big ovation.
Yeah,
and then there was the Asian dude Kim who had the fight of the night cross. Oh, that was a good one.
Did he won fight of the night?
That was that guy that won the fight of the night bonus.
No way.
Yep.
I thought the first fight would have won fight of the night.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. He caught him with that fucking, and the guy just went. His legs just went jello.
Yeah.
The funniest part of the sound, I was like, yeah. He just fell. I was like, oh shit. And then the fight, I caught those 2 fights, and then I caught the last fight in the prelims, which was T-Bow versus Varner.
Yep. Not a bad fight.
Not a bad fight. Varner came out swinging in the 3rd round, because he knew he was down.
Yeah, he looked desperate in the 3rd. Too bad he couldn't bring that in the 2nd because he did a good job in the 3rd, but it was just too little, too late.
But T-Bow ran out of gas. So.
Yeah, but that guy's, man. I guess a guy when you've got that much muscle, I guess you gas faster, right? When you're just all muscle.
Muscle has a big factor in it, but he cuts a lot of weight.
He does.
He cuts
huge.
a lot of weight. He probably walks close to 195.
Holy shit.
I'm guessing even if it's not closer to 200s, you know. And he's 155.
Yeah.
Now maybe he walks more like 180. I'm guaranteed he walks between 185 to 195.
Yeah.
And he cuts a lot of weight, and he puts on a lot of weight after. That has a big factor. And number one, he's a lot of muscle. You need a lot of oxygen to feed those muscles.
Yeah.
And when he throws a punch or a kick, he throws with intentions, and you spend a lot of energy. You know, it's like he's got a lot of muscle. He's got to put those. You got to keep your hands up. And on a 3-round fight, if he only lasts 2 rounds, you could see it in the fight yesterday. He did 3 rounds. He won the first 2 rounds. He lost the 3rd round. And then the 3rd round, he looked totally gassed.
Yep.
So you're not going to contend for a belt. You can go into a 5-round fight if you can't last, if you're only good for 2 rounds. The other guy only has to weather 2 rounds, and then you're fucked for 3 rounds. And so there's an issue there where you either start losing muscle weight, or what? Yeah, he fights at 155. He would definitely not move up. He's been fighting at 155 his whole career.
Yeah,
I mean, he can definitely cut the weight with no problem. I don't think he's ever missed weight.
No,
but the fact is that
he'll never be able to go 5 rounds.
No, ever, especially against a guy against Pettis or against Anderson that could go 10 rounds easily without even gassing. So it's. So I watched the prelims. They were pretty good. And then the fucking main card, I hit it out. I missed the first round of the first fight, the Koch Poirier fight.
Coke and Poirier. Oh, that was a good fight.
What the fuck?
That was a good fight. Poirier did a pretty decent job the first 2 rounds controlling. Lost the 3rd, but at that point again, too little, too late. But man, that was just that first round was amazing.
Knocked him down in the first
I'm surprised that didn't win fight of the night, to be honest. Because
that was a great fight.
The first fight I went from he had him in a triangle choke for about 45 seconds. Coke had Poirier, and then Poirier knocked him down with about a minute and a half left in the round, and then had him, was it in a guillotine? I'm trying to remember. Or vice versa. Either way, then he had him into submission for a good 30 seconds or so. So it went back and forth that first round, but then it looked like Poirier had taken it. Second round, a little bit more one-sided, and that 3rd round was a bit more evenly matched, but a little bit more in Coke's favor, but still too little, too late. But that was a really good fight. 2 guys, Joe Rogan and Goldberg, were talking about the fact that how over the years they'd confuse the 2 of them, and it's true, especially since they both used to have the shape, very similar, same shape, size. They used to both have their head shaved, about the same age. So
and they're always
a great matchup.
I think the growth in the UFC has been pretty much parallel to each other.
Yeah, well, Coke, I think they tried to. He had gone over a year between fights, and then he was supposed to fight Jose Aldo, right?
He got injured,
and then he got injured. That was like that fight. That was a blessing in disguise, I think, for him, because there was no way he was ready to compete with Aldo.
And he hasn't won since.
Rushed. No, and now he's lost 2 in a row, right?
2 in a row to Almeida and is it Almeida? To Moraga. It was another guy.
Was it John Moraga he lost to? Yeah,
he got TKO'd, and then so Poirier has always been a good fighter, and I think that was a a good fight.
Yeah, he's a good documentary on Netflix.
Fight Life.
Is it
Fightville?
Fightville, yes.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
it was on Netflix. Yeah, I saw it. Second, the main card wasn't as. No. It's always like that. The prelims are always amazing. Then the main card.
Yeah, then they throw a fight like Ben Rothwell versus Brandon Vera on the main card, and you're wondering why.
Brendan Vera needs to retire. I'm sorry.
I'll give it to him. He looked good at heavyweight.
He fucking looked good.
Finally had some muscle on him.
What the fuck?
Some mass.
Why did he just... It's like he gave up in the 3rd. I don't get it. Like, you're playing it safe? Or is that what he was doing? He got caught? Like, dude.
I guess. I don't know. Dude's always had a problem between his 2 ears.
He's too
It's
hesitant.
always been a mental problem with him. Doesn't have that killer instinct. No.
He was so hesitant from the second to the third round. I was like, I could see it in his face. I could see it in the tempo of the fight. You're gonna lose though. Get off the cage. Stop taking these shots because one shot too much and you're gonna fucking go down.
Rothwell hits hard, man.
Dude, the guy's a beast, man. The guy's a beast, and he picked it up in the third and he TKO'd him. Yeah. What the fuck, man? It was very disappointing for a guy that once claimed that he was going to be the first heavyweight / light heavyweight champ at the same time.
Yeah, well, it's been a huge difference, considering if we look back, almost a decade ago now, his first couple of fights in the UFC, how exciting he was. And fuck, when's the last time you saw a good Brandon Vera fight?
Yeah, didn't happen. Shogun maybe, but Shogun knocked him out. So.
Yeah. Well, that was more, it was more of a punching bag for Shogun, yeah.
God, that's what happens, though. He, like, freezes. He comes out. He's, like... mentally, he's probably one of the best guys in the gym, and then when he comes in the fight, he can't deliver.
Oh, speaking of which, my boy Clay Guida.
What the fuck, man?
Couldn't do it against Chad Mendes.
Chad Mendes is a beast, though.
Mendes is a beast, and hey, first guy to knock out Guida, got to give it to him.
Yeah. Was it really a knockout, though? It was, yeah.
He was turtling. He was turtling. He was done. He wasn't defending himself. I'm the biggest Guida fan there is out there. I'm not going to defend him. I'll appreciate the fact that he showed a little bit more aggression.
I'll be honest. I thought Mendes was going to TKO him in the first round.
Did you?
I thought, but I think he couldn't figure him out as fast and then he just caught him in the end. It was a good fight, though.
It was. It's one of the more entertaining Guida fights. The last couple there, that one against Gray Maynard almost got him fired, I think, and he lost a lot of fans. And then against Hatsuhioki, with the exception of a couple of big slams, he kind of wrestle fucked him for 3 rounds.
Yeah.
So
he'd still be in their UFC though for the rest. Oh
yeah, just for the entertainment factor. But he's got to, just swing a bit more, do something, man. Learn how to kick properly. Fuck, sometimes it's embarrassing with remember Keith Jardine, how herky jerky he was, but at least he connected.
Yeah.
And you see Guida now, like he tried a couple of push kicks and whatnot, but I mean he tripped over himself a couple of times trying to throw a kick, man. He's got to work on his technique, and he could be an animal in the gym and a cardio freak, but learn some technique, dude.
He looks so stiff in his
just awkward,
His striking definitely needs a lot of working on.
What did he land? 10% of his strikes? I mean, you're punching air half the time, dude. But at least he was moving forward. So I mean, that's a step forward. Excuse the pun, but anyway. Yeah. But Mendes, he's due for a shot soon, I guess. He'll get his rematch.
What else? Who else are you gonna give Aldo?
Well, to think their first fight. I mean, he was doing really well in the first round.
You just couldn't take Aldo down.
He didn't, but Aldo would grab the fence twice, too.
Yeah,
Let's not forget. Yeah. And then next thing you know, he kind of got lucky with that reverse elbow and knocked him out. Knocked him with 10 seconds left in the round or so. So I think he's got a chance, and he's shown knockout power in a division that's not filled with guys who have knockout power either. Right?
For sure. I mean, and the addition of Dwayne Ludwig in their camp.
Yeah, that's what they keep talking about.
The guy's amazing. Yeah. He's changed a lot of their
must be the weed
striking. Yeah, man. The guy was. I saw him on the Joe Rogan podcast last week. The guy is a fucking wired, man.
Yeah.
He does not stop talking. It's like holy fuck, like OCD, ADD. It's insane.
Oh, giving him his
even
own
Joe
podcast.
Rogan was like, dude, you gotta bring it down. Like he was like, even like, dude, to calm the fuck down, like chill out.
Nice, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Oh, it was crazy, man. What about that Frank Mir?
Frank Mir, Josh Barnett making his long-awaited return to the UFC 11 years later.
He destroyed
him. I loved it. I hate Frank Mir.
Yeah.
He's the biggest jackass, I think, in the heavyweight division. Runs his mouth, can't back. Well, he's backed it up a couple of times, but he hasn't.
Not anymore.
No, he kind of got lucky against Nogueira. And
I don't really agree with the stoppage, but on the same extent, he was getting demolished.
Give him another 5 seconds. Hey, I've always defended early stoppages in the sense that if the guy goes limp and he's out, then it should be over. Yeah. And he was out. But the best part is, did you hear this? I read this morning, Frank Mir said he fell on purpose.
Yeah, I read that too.
Give me a fucking break.
He put it on his knee just so you wouldn't have to take more punishment.
Yeah, right.
It looked more like a limp.
Yeah.
He fell down.
They could have let the fight go for another 5-10 seconds, and his face would have turned to mush like it did against Brock Lesnar.
Fuck that.
I mean, Barnett's a big guy.
But Barnett looked in the worst shape of his life yesterday.
Yeah, he's always no steroids, man.
He looks pudgy, but he's
always been
pudgy.
fattish. He's always kind of been chubby, but Oh, roids. He's
Fuck,
also been
man.
busted a couple of times.
I think he went all balls out in the first round because he knew if it went in the second or
probably
third,
would've, yeah.
we gassed out.
Mind you, Frank Mir's not exactly known as a cardio machine either, right?
Either. Hey, when you're 255 pounds of muscle, like, are you kidding me?
Remember when he jacked himself up to 265 to fight Lesnar?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
that didn't work out
No.
very much. He got his face pummeled by another 265 pound machine with lunchbox for fists. Fuck that. And the main event, well, it all ended in
It's kind of anticlimactic. Eh?
what the fuck? I didn't even realize what happened. It was just like, oh shit!
Oh,
like, did he tap? Like, what the fuck? Why is he letting this go? Like, what? Why are they staying up? Yeah. The ref was even going.
Yeah,
like,
and it was like a 5-second delay with the crowd, and it was, oh wait a minute, okay, our home guy won, yeah. But wow,
it was like, oh my god.
nobody saw a first round finish coming. I think in that fight, I don't think anybody predicted that.
No, not at all. Especially not from a submission, an armbar of all things.
But man, was that smooth.
It was crazy.
Looked
the
like
transition.
Fedor. Looked like Fedor there.
Bang! He got the arm, and then verbal tap, and then that was it. We have a new champion.
Just like
Is he gonna
that.
last forever? Is he gonna be the next?
No,
I don't know. He's gonna got to give him rematch to Anderson.
He'll win a few, but let's not forget he lost to Clay Guida not too long ago. So
It's weird.
wrestling still isn't his forte, I guess.
Yeah.
Because if you're getting out wrestled by Clay Guida, but
He had some good takedown defense yesterday, though.
he did
at the end.
He did.
So,
But
and then-
he's gotten so much better too. I think since then, and he's still young. He's developing, and Henderson will come back too. I mean,
Of course, he just got caught. That's the simple
Exactly.
answer. The simple thing that happened. He got caught in an armbar, and that was it. And he tapped out, and then it's either that or he's gonna get his arm ripped off.
Yep.
And yeah, dude, the guy's young. You can't go through that. You can't go
No.
through a year off because I got to rehabilitate my arm because I didn't want to tap.
Yeah, and these days in the UFC, who knows? He may get his rematch sooner than you
course.
think.
TJ Grant was next in line, but it's either going to be him. I think Pettis called out Aldo at the end.
He did, and I don't know how Dana feels about that because he warned them before the fight that if you win the title, you're defending it.
Yeah.
But if Aldo wants to move up to 155
Or Pettis go down to 1.
or they goes down to 145 and defend both, and then they can fight for each other's belts, I guess, right? Technically, if he wanted to.
If he goes down to 145, then
He can't
it would
defend?
be for the belt.
He
at
can't defend.
145?
You can't fight for the 155 at 145 pounds.
No. Dana
Doesn't
White
work
wouldn't
out.
let
They wouldn't let that happen?
That didn't happen when BJ Penn went up to 170 against GSP. He was champ.
That's right.
People forget about that, but that was a champion versus champion.
Yeah.
And he went
But
down
if you're
to
moving up a
155.
weight, you can't defend it. But if
Yeah.
you're moving down, why not, right?
I don't think Dana White.
But
would
I
let
don't think
that
Dana
happen.
would, no.
He does not want a guy holding two belts.
No.
That would make absolutely no sense.
But you know what? That fight would make a hell of a lot more money than him versus TJ Grant. And
Oh,
as
of
much as
course.
we're rooting for TJ Grant as a Canadian,
Yeah.
I mean, what, 50% of the MMA fan base still doesn't know who he is?
No, it would be hard sell for Dana. He's definitely either going to do a Anderson rematch, or he's going to do maybe an Aldo versus Pettis champion super fight.
Yeah.
That's title. Like,
I've still been waiting for that super fight. He's been talking about super fights for how many years, whether it was GSP versus
the only real
Silva.
super fight I ever saw was GSP versus BJ Penn. That's the only fight I would consider a super fight.
Yeah.
And GSP demolished BJ Penn. So
Yeah.
you got to be careful. You can't have Anderson Silva versus Jones, or you can't have.
No, you don't want to
GSP.
sacrifice one guy's name for the sake of, building somebody else's who's already up there anyway, right? I mean, what is it worth it for, let's say Anderson Silva to beat GSP? Silva's already loved and hated almost equally. And if GSP loses, well, how much...
You're
you
done.
know.
He
He loses a lot of steam there. He loses a lot of momentum and maybe a few fans. And how many more fans will it really gain for Silva? So yeah, it is hard to do those dream matches.
Yeah, you got to think about that. I guess it's not my business. They can do what the fuck they want.
That's it.
With that said, we're done because I gotta go.
Go Pats.
Go Pats.
Football season starts
football
this week.
season starts.
Fantasy football season starts for me at 7 p.m.
Yeah,
Big league, the Miley Cyruses. We're going for it this year.
I'm not. I don't have time to be in a football pool.
Well, we got our hockey pool draft coming up soon too.
Yeah,
it's getting
I don't
really
even know what
excited.
the fuck's going on with that.
Oh man,
Go Steelers but Steelers suck this year. They have nobody.
Steelers.
Fucked. They were horrible during the preseason. So, still, I have hopes.
You never know. You never know. It's a franchise that's, been pretty good over the years.
Yeah.
At least you're not a Raiders fan.
No, fuck Raiders. What the fuck? Who's a Raiders fan?
P's a Raiders fan.
Is he?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, P. Raiders.
Sorry, they got a nice logo though. Awesome jersey.
They do.
Horrible team.
So.
All right.
That's it. Number 7 done with. Catch our website, www.modernmaverick.net. Catch me on Twitter at Steph Paulin. Catch my boy here on Twitter at jflynnmtl.
That's it.
Yeah. Facebook.com/Modern Maverick. So that's it. We're done for today. And hopefully we'll bring you another podcast the following next week and keep going with it. So that's it. Enjoy your guy. Hope you guys had a good long weekend, and we'll see you next weekend. Ciao. See you. Bye.
1, 2, 3 into the 4. Easy motherfucking E with the chrome to your dome. Cruising in my 6'4" rag top. I got a lot of juice, a lot of fucking block. Now when I hit that switch, I'm bouncing. More bounce to the ounce and I'm clowning.